I get it. Everybody wants to say UFC 330 sucks, bro. There's no Philly fighters on this card, man. The only fights that matter are the main event and maybe the co-main if you like women's MMA. There's no meaningful fights, man. And we probably would have been better off bringing a bunch of homeless people from Kensington over and letting them fight in the octagon. I get all of that. I'm sorry for all my Philly bros and my Delconian followers, man. And Bam Margera, shout out to Bam Margera. But, you know, Islam Makhachev versus Ian Garry is still a great fight. There's some fun scraps on here. We're going to break it all down in this video. Let's talk about Islam versus Ian Garry. I'm taking Islam Makhachev in this one. I just think, man, I'm going a little bit Lucas Tracy here. I just think he's going to get him, man. You know, I think it's easy to say that Islam Makhachev will just find his takedowns as this fight goes on. Because I do think Ian Garry has a unique skill set of tools and skills that he can use to make this interesting. Obviously, you know, he's got massive size. It's Islam's first real test at welterweight in terms of dealing with one of these new gen welterweights who are giant in size and have good takedown defense that can strike and are very well rounded. I just don't think Ian Garry has that X factor, that finishing ability to beat an Islam outside of fluking up a head kick that he did against D-Rod 3 years ago. He hasn't had a finish since, and he doesn't really come close to finishing people. Now his kicks and his movement will be interesting to see kind of how many rounds can he do that and kind of point fight Islam and maybe irk out a decision. But I just figure as it goes on, Islam Makhachev will start getting his takedowns, getting them on the fence, getting them in the open man. Ian Garry, I think, has a very overrated get-ups where he'll get taken down and will kind of just, he's fine playing guard, throwing up triangles, throwing elbows, the guillotine. He'll do a little bit Charles Oliveira maxing. I know they're kind of boys, but listen, Islam's going to win this. He can throw a variety of kicks at you, counters with the lead hook very well, you know, level changes very well, and then blitzes in to get you to that single leg on the fence. He's so good at getting you down on the fence. And again, I don't want to spend a ton of time on this fight because I did a whole video breaking it down yesterday. But I think Islam's going to get him. Now, Ian Garry is very well-rounded, and he can kind of get into a flow state where he's really just kind of pitter-pattering, hitting you with combos and mixing it in very well. And then can mix in his wrestling and his judo base well, where he's working on trips. And I just can't pick him to win this because I think his takedown defense is overrated. He's getting taken out by Shavkat, who's a wildly overrated offensive grappler. And Shavkat's, listen, I know some people also want to be like, ooh, look how good Ian Garry against Shavkat's wrestling. Shavkat was going for those body lock takedowns, which just aren't going to work on an Ian Garry who is so tall. I mean, we saw Bilal kind of try and do that, but when you're going in on those single legs and trying to hike Ian Garry's or somebody that tall's leg up and trying to kind of get, like, I think it's like a cross-body takedown or something, it's tough to do against a guy that tall. But if you get to the hips of Ian Garry, if you get to the legs, you can get him down. And I think Islam Makhachev will do this in this one. And he's so heavy on top, such great control, and he's so patient finding his submission. He's not going to be like Shavkat where he's like immediately jumping on your back and then, you know, just kind of making reckless decisions and reckless entries. He's going to be very smart with his grappling. And also another underrated thing, you know, Ian Garry, he's trying to work off of his jab a lot and land off of there. That's where he's going to kind of start a lot of his offensive game. Islam Makhachev is very good defensively with his striking defense, almost kind of underrated in terms of his boxing and just his striking overall. And I just think he's going to have Ian Garry playing on the back foot the whole time, which Ian Garry's fine with doing. I mean, he's very comfortable on the back foot, sticking and poking you, but I don't really know how that's going to work in this fight because Islam gets his best takedowns along the fence. And then when Ian Garry maybe is trying to be a little bit more aggressive in the later rounds, which he tends to do and is trying to mix it up a little bit better, I think Islam Makhachev can kind of just make him pay and then take him down in the open mat, which he did a lot to JDM. Now, JDM, not really comparable to Ian Garry, but just saying Islam Makhachev showed a great ability in that fight to get, you know, singles and doubles in the center of the octagon, which in the past he really had never been a great, I don't want to say like great open mat wrestler, but his majority of like his great takedowns were on the fence, you know what I mean? And again, Ian Garry, it'll be interesting to see how Islam deals with just a massive size and reach advantage of him. The leg kick game from both, I think, will be there. Both guys will be calf kicking. Ian Garry has this tendency against really, you know, wrestling types. He did it against Bilal where he really just heavy on that front foot, like leaning down a lot with his hands down. I could see Islam Makhachev working a calf kick on that lead leg. Also, maybe he starts feinting takedowns and then throwing a head kick up in there. Maybe he clips Ian Garry. I mean, the scenes of if Islam Makhachev knocks out Ian Garry, because I don't want him to just submit this guy. I want him to put him out cold. But I think Islam Makhachev will get takedowns as this fight goes on, get him along the fence, and it's going to be fucking great. I want Islam Makhachev to beat Anderson Silva's record. I want him to get past 16 or what is it, 17 in a row now. And a lot of people fail, like Merab and Kamaru Usman. I think Islam Makhachev just going to do it, man. He has that championship pedigree. When you think Islam Makhachev, like, this guy cannot be fluked. He beats everybody. That's the thing. And I know he just went through this whole thing with Ilya and Hamza. And it's like, these guys just seemed unbeatable, lost. Islam Makhachev, I think, just the guy. It's not going to happen. And Ian Garry, I can't picture a world where you've got a guy crying to fucking Disney movies and he's a vegan. And I don't know if any of you watched the press conference today or tomorrow, or yesterday, whenever you see this video. Tomorrow doesn't even make any sense. Islam Makhachev asked a question about Abdul-Malik, his former mentor, Habib's father. And Islam's talking about, we'll talk about that when everything's said and done. And Ian Garry, I'll answer for you, champ. I'll answer for you. Very, very proud of you. And Islam, shut up, brother. Nobody like you. You have no fans. Ian Garry's trying to be all buddy-buddy with Islam. Maybe he's playing a little bit of mind games, but I just think he's so socially awkward. Islam Makhachev, I think he could get a late finish in this one. I just think Ian Garry is tough to finish. And if he's able to finish in Ian Garry, this win gets even greater because it's like, finish the guy who's hard to finish. And also, it just shows your dominance that you could, your second fight in welterweight, you're finishing one of the best guys. And I just think it's super impressive. I'm going to go with Islam Makhachev in this one by unanimous decision. I think there's a chance it's close where maybe Ian Garry is doing a great job sticking and poking. Islam Makhachev fighting on the outside well, avoiding the shots of Islam. And maybe he takes those first 2 rounds. But I just think as this fight goes on, Islam will get his takedowns. And will avoid the big shots of Ian Garry. By big shots, I mean the head kick and his other punches that do no damage whatsoever. You know what I mean? I think Islam will start landing things of his own, landing his leg kicks, his underrated kicking game, finding a lead hook. I think Islam's going to get this done. Maybe a fluke head kick happens. I just don't think so. I think Islam Makhachev is inevitable. Let's talk about Mackenzie Dern versus Gillian Robertson. I kind of feel bad for Gillian Robertson because I've almost fallen in love with her a little bit, and maybe a little bit sexually, maybe a little bit because she's a good fighter, but I think Mackenzie Dern will get this one done. I just think she has a lot more paths to victory, where she can finish you on the ground. She can hit hard. She's more well-rounded than a Gillian Robertson. I also don't know why the fuck I picked Mackenzie Dern to beat Verna Jandarella, but that might be one of the worst picks on the channel. It might have been just because I didn't like Mackenzie Dern, which I don't get why. She's never done anything to me personally, but Dern's a blockhead, calf kicks, jab, not anything super flashy in the feet, and then she'll get a little bit wild. The thing is, she's not really a great wrestler by any means. She wrestles on everything, but I wouldn't say she's like this elite level wrestler, and her takedown defense isn't that great, but she'll just throw up subs on you and bang you with elbows and just beat you up on the ground off her back, and she has pretty good cardio. Robertson, much better wrestler, but just not great on the feet, just spams a lot of right overhands and left hooks, and will enter in on singles and doubles, and then can chain wrestle to find takedowns, has really nice ground and pound, it can get you to submissions, but she's just so hittable on the feet. You know what I mean? And Mackenzie Dern, again, she can out-scramble Gillian Robertson to find subs. If Robertson tries to turn into a wrestling match, her whole game is kind of taking you down, looking for damage. But Mackenzie Dern is fine being taken down because her takedown defense is meh. But she'll just bomb you with elbows and throw up subs. So I just don't think Gillian Robertson is going to get this one. I honestly think Mackenzie Dern might submit her. But I just think it's safer to just say she's going to win by decision. I can never get a great read on these high-level women's MMA fights. But I think Mackenzie Dern gets this one done by decision or like round 4 armbar. Something like that. Gillian Robertson seems pretty cool too. The red hair, she does that shit pretty well. But good for Gillian Robertson. Weird kind of a fight, but they're just holding the belt for way late. Either way, I'm going to take Mackenzie Dern by decision, maybe mid-round submission if she's really fucking locked in. But just not an easy fight for Gillian Robertson. I don't think she has enough ways to win, and Mackenzie Dern could beat you on the feet in this one and on the ground. Because if you want to play BJJ with Mackenzie Dern, I mean, she's got world-class jiu-jitsu, man. She's a world champion. You don't want to be there with Mackenzie Dern. I'll take Mackenzie Dern in this one by decision. Moving on to Jalin Turner versus Kaue Fernandes. Another one I'm actually very excited about. That's the thing with this card. Maybe not a lot of meaningful fights, but Jalin Turner versus Kaue Fernandes, at the very least, is extremely exciting. 2 guys who are going to go out there and put on fun fights. I'm going to take Jalin Turner in this one. I think he's a sniper on the feet. He has some nice offensive BJJ. I've seen him rolling around with MMA Che and the guys. He's got nice kicks and keeps moving forward. Will kind of hit you nastily. Hit you with that straight right or straight left, and time it up very well. His fight IQ kind of sucks. and has problems with pressure where he can be open to damage on the ground at times. And Kaue Fernandes, it does suck that I'm picking against him because I'm so split on this one. Kaue Fernandes, I love these kicker types. Like, if you were to ask me, like, who's one of your favorite fighters that was never champion, I would tell you Edson Barboza. We'll talk about later. Kaue Fernandes is probably going to be in a similar light of mine as he gets more active and as he gets later on in his career, because he is such a nasty power kicker. He leaves... Joe Rogan's going to cream himself watching Kaue Fernandes. Obviously, he might know who he is a little bit just because he's part of the, leg kick game. And Joe Rogan, he just loves his leg kicks. He killed Harry Hardwick. He destroyed him. He's a nasty kicker. Floats very well on the outside. Could switch stances, get to the nasty calf kicks, mix in the head kicks. Is just very flexible. Has also shown better takedown defense as his career has gone on, but he hasn't really faced like a great offensive wrestler since. Fernandes, he wants him on the outside. He's going to throw head kicks. I think if Jalin Turner is really on in this fight, it could time up Kaue Fernandes when he's throwing a head kick with a straight punch, he'll KO. You know what I mean? But I think there's also a chance if Jalin Turner is not getting a knockout within like the first or second or early second round, Fernandes will just beat him up with kicks for the entire fight. I'm going to take Jalin Turner this one. I just trust him a little bit more. He's fought better comp, and I think he'll be able to close the distance enough to neutralize the leg kick game of Kaue Fernandes and maybe catch Kaue Fernandes with a elbow or a knee inside, or maybe again he's timing up that head kick of Kaue Fernandes and just bombing him with a straight punch. I'm going to take Jalin Turner by round 1 knockout. It might suck. I'm going against my guy with Kaue Fernandes, the leg kick boys himself. But I'm going to take Jalin Turner in this one over Kaue Fernandes. Let's move on to Mansur Abdul-Malik versus Dustin Stoltzfus. I mean, such a competitive fight. This is where you start getting into these dumbass matchups. It just has to be Mansur. I mean, I'm not the highest on Mansur Abdul-Malik. I just think he's like a ball of muscle and athleticism. But he is pretty good, He's got nasty ground and pound. On the feet, he could switch. Why'd I say he's pretty good? I just fucking lied. He's good. But he did get exposed pretty badly by usually Gore, where if you slow the fight down on him and try and like kind of out-technical him, he doesn't really know exactly what to do. But he does have a lot of power on the feet, can wrestle. Again, you can pick him apart if you get technical. I just don't think Dustin Stoltzfus the guy to do it, He's got this weird Muay Thai striking wrestling style, and he stands so tall, so he really can't get to his wrestling, and his boxing defense kind of sucks. I'm not insanely the highest on Mansur Abdul-Malik, but I just think he's going to knock out Dustin Stoltzfus, who didn't really even look that good in his last one against Kelvin Gastelum. I'll go Mansur by round 1 knockout. Oh, the ice cream man's here. Speaking of Edson Barboza, he's taking on Esteban Ribovics. This is a sad fight. You're fighting the courts of Edson Barboza, who looked like shit against what's his face? Jalin Turner. He looked terrible against Jalin Turner. Esteban Ribovics looked like shit against Gamrot. I still don't think Esteban Ribovics is even that good, but he's getting fed an old man in their primes. Edson Barboza is knocking this guy out. I don't know why Esteban's even fighting this guy. They just want to give him a confidence boost back. Give him fucking Chris Duncan. Or in this weird hodgepodge of guys who maybe they're ranked, they're kind of outside the rankings. Give him Chris Duncan. You know what I mean? But I think it's over for Edson Barboza. At a point in his career, wild kicking game, super fun finishes. The knockout over Terry Atim, Adam, whatever his name is, that was one of the first highlight reel finishes I've ever seen in the UFC that made me like know what the sport was. It was Edson Barboza knocking him out with that spinning kick. He also can mix in flying knees if you want to wrestle on him, but he doesn't even throw the spinning kicks like he used to. They're not nearly as powerful. He's just huffing and puffing the whole time, looks gassed within 2 minutes, and he's just so old. And Ribovics, like, he'll just kind of put volume on you and pressure and just kind of beat you up and break you down. He's not like a one-shot KO kind of guy. He just kind of accumulates damage on you and then he finishes you. Has no ground game at all, by the way, so if Edson Barboza wants to become Gamrot and take him down, maybe he could win this one. He should knock out Edson Barboza in round 1 or 2. I was thinking of saying Edson Barboza maybe survives the second round, but I don't even know if that happens. Like, maybe because, again, it's not like Ribovics has this insane one-shot KO power at lightweight, but it's also like Edson Barboza just looks like such shit. And that Jalin Turner fight was disgusting. And Jalin Turner does have more. I'm just going to go Esteban Ribovics by round 1 knockout. I don't even know if I believe in Edson enough to survive a round. Let's move on to the headliner of the prelims. Chidi and Njokuani. Do they have? Okay. Chidi and Njokuani versus Joel Alvarez. And I think this is a very close one. Much closer than a lot of people think. Because Joel Alvarez hasn't looked amazing at welterweight. Looked pretty bad against Yaroslav Amosov. And just, I mean, I guess that's a tough matchup. Amosov's probably one of, if not the best grappler in all of welterweight, one of the best in the UFC. And he's facing a guy in Chidi Njokuani who's in a lot of fun fights, very long. It's going to be one of the rare times where Joel Alvarez is actually getting size mogged by somebody. And I think it's going to be close. I'm going to take Joel Alvarez in this one, but I'm not super confident in this. Chidi Njokuani, Muay Thai guy, a lot of knees and kicks and elbows, fights very well behind his front kicks and just really fast kicks in general. Had a banger with Carlos Leal in his last fight. You know, he stands very straight up, so you can catch him if you blitz with overhands and get to his hips easily if you want to take him down. But Joel Alvarez, I don't even think has landed a takedown in the UFC yet. He's a wild finisher. Nice teeps and flying knees when he gets in a rhythm. Again, doesn't defend takedowns really whatsoever, but Chidi Njokuani would be stunned if he was actually shooting in this. His defense on the feet also isn't really that good just because he's so used to being so much bigger than a lot of other guys and longer than them. And it's a weird one because it's on short notice. Chidi Njokuani was supposed to fight Jeff Neal. I probably would have picked Chidi to win that one. Joel Alvarez is going to have to deal with a real giant who's a lot bigger than him, and he hasn't looked as dangerous at 170. But the thing is, Chidi's just not that high level of a guy, and I could see Chidi Njokuani kind of piecing up Joel Alvarez for most of this fight, and it's not like Alvarez is going to mix in the takedowns, but I just figure at some point in this fight, Joel Alvarez will find the big shot. I'm going to go Joel Alvarez, round 3 TKO. I'm not super confident in this one. I like both of these guys. I really like Chidi Njokuani, and he could very well win this one. I'm probably going to talk myself out of it, but I'm going to take Joel Alvarez by round 3 knockout. Let's talk about Charles Johnson and Eduardo Chapelin. Listen, I have nothing really to say about this. It was supposed to be Jose Ochoa, supposed to be our coming out party. Jose Ochoa enthusiast. He was going to knock out Charles Johnson. Now I'm just going to take Charles Johnson by decision. Maybe he knocks him out. I don't really know anything about Eduardo Chapelin. I know his name's Eduardo. Shout out Eduardo Escobar. He won the Contender Series against, I think that's a random Sheen worker, Chinese guy, and also fought in LFA. And I get it, Charles Johnson didn't look that great against Asu Amabayev, but Amabayev I just think might have been steroided out in fucking Azerbaijan. Like, if we're being honest, if we're being completely honest, he might have been juiced to the gills in that one, and that might have just been a tough fight for Charles Johnson. And I think Charles Johnson, not really the same guy as he used to be, where he's fluking guys out cold and shit, former champs and, you know, or future champs and top contenders, but I'm just going to take him in this one because I know nothing about Eduardo Chapelin, and it's on extremely short notice. I'll take Charles Johnson by decision. If I'm Eduardo Chapelin, maybe I take a dive on purpose because then you become a future champ if you get knocked out by Charles Johnson, or at the very least, you become top 5. You know what I mean? Maybe you're Loner Kavanaugh. Either way, I'm taking Charles Johnson by decision. Donte Lockjaw Johnson versus Eric McConico. Listen, I was very high on Donte Johnson, and then he looked like shit against Cody Brundage, and I'm not that high on him anymore. It's oddly close because Eric McConico can be randomly crafty, and Donte Johnson, again, didn't look that great in his last one. But I think Dante's just too explosive, and Eric McConico's defense is shit. But Johnson's an explosive striker. He can wrestle, nice calf kicks on the outside. A lot of head movement that sometimes is unnecessary. Like, his defense is all head movement related, even when it's not necessarily needed. But he has nice footwork to get inside and bomb you. Again, just move his head. Can also mix in those body slams that he did against Cedric Dumas, which, I mean, you know, it's Cedric Dumas, who really cares? Again, close fight with Brundage. He's now at Extreme Couture, so I figure he's at a better gym, and he should probably win this. McConico, like, he strikes more now. He used to kind of wrestle, punch, kick you, punch and kick. That's just so fucking stupid to say. Like, of course they're going to punch and kick you, but he'll kind of, like, mix things up where he'll punch and then kick and then punch. That sounds so fucking stupid. But he's got nice teeps. Again, defensively, he just sucks. And he actually was, you know, he can defend takedowns on the fence pretty well and can, like, craft up fights, but he's just way too chinny at this point in his career. I mean, just punching and kicking. Yeah, of course, they're just fighting. That was analysis right there. I'll take Donte Johnson by round 1 knockout. Maybe it goes on a little bit longer, but again, he's just way too chinny for me to pick Eric McConico. Vicente Luque versus Tresean Gore, the people's main event. I'm actually pretty excited for this one. Again, this fight has a ton of, like, what's it called? Like, just kind of fun scraps. The guillotine versus the anaconda choke in this one. Luque is like the oldest 34 ever. Not in terms of looks. I'm not saying Vicente Luque looks like he's 80. But I swear, this guy's been fighting since I've been like 5, it feels like. I'm 21 now. He's been in my life for like a decade. But, you know, he had a nice win over Kelvin Gastelum. I was doubting him. I was saying Vicente Luque's going to end up like Golden Freddy. And then he goes out there and sends Kelvin back to the fucking nearest Golden Corral. Knocked him out so badly that Kelvin woke up in a random buffet in Las Vegas or wherever they were fighting. he could definitely bomb Tresean Gore this one. Like, if you rush it on Vicente Luque, he will shut your lights out. He still has real power, despite being old. Again, the last thing that goes is your power. But I think Tresean Gore has looked pretty solid recently. I get like Asmat Makhachev is not really that good, but he has power and is at least fairly dangerous. I think both will land kicks, but I think Tresean Gore has a little bit more weapons on the outside and a range to find his straight right. And Vicente Luque, again, he has great BJJ, but he has no real takedown game whatsoever. He's not a wrestler. And if he shoots, Gore has a nasty guillotine. So if Tresean Gore hurts Vicente Luque on the feet and then Luque shooting this takedown in, Gore can just lock up a guillotine and submit him. You know, Buckley and Alvarez were stunning Vicente Luque. Gore isn't really that great. Like, I think Vicente Luque might be the better fighter, but Luque has been in so many wars at this point in his career, and Gore can mix in the body lock takedowns. And maybe I just trust him of being a little bit younger, even though the funny thing is Tresean Gore, only 2 years younger than Vicente Luque, and I think Vicente Luque has been here like the UFC for 30 years. Luque's always live for a big right hand, and maybe he gets you, but I like Tresean Gore by guillotine. I like this little momentum that Tresean Gore's got going on. I'm going Tresean Gore by round 2 guillotine in this one. Let's talk about Rafael Tobias versus Lucas Fernando. I'm going to go with Lucas Fernando. I've seen a little bid on this guy. He does seem pretty good, like decent, has power. He fought in the LFA. Rafael Tobias, couldn't even, who did he fight, Nurgazai last? He didn't even get knocked out by Nurgazai, who has some real power. So this could be kind of oddly close. But again, Rafael Tobias has no real defense or striking. He's got a good chin, though, and power, and he can get subs on you, but again, has no real defense or head movement. Fernando has nice kicks, calf kicks on the outside that could kind of chew you up. Tobias just kind of wants to go in there and bomb shots on you. Let's see what the people are thinking for this. They're all thinking, all right, fuck it, we're going Rafael Fernando. Round 2 knockout. He does kind of look like a beast. Was this the guy who said he would kill Hitler? Or if he wanted to fight anybody in history, he'd fight Hitler? I swear I saw this guy on the UFC Instagram talking about he beat the shit out of Hitler. So I guess we'll go with Lucas Fernando by he doesn't like Nazis or something. Let's move on to Neil Magny versus Ramiz Brahimaj. 2 New York City guys, I believe. I know they're not fighting out of New York anymore, but I believe they're both... I think Neil Magny's from like the Brooklyn, or Ramiz Brahimaj is from the Bronx. I think they're both from either one. So a little New York City boys action going on here. I'm going to take Neil Magny. I think he bounces back. I know he didn't look good against Yaroslav Amosov. And the thing is, once you beat Neil Magny, you become a top contender, a future champion. Ramiz Brahimaj, I don't think is the guy to do that. I can't see Ramiz Brahimaj being a top contender or a champion. Jake Matthews nearly fluked Neil Magny, or actually did, and then he didn't tap, or he did tap. Who the fuck knows? If he fluked Neil Magny, I guess Jake Matthews would be making a title run. But I think he's going to bounce back here. Magny got fluked by Yaroslav Amosov. You know, Brahimaj, everybody was saying this guy's going to be a future champ after he subbed Austin Vanderford, and then Puna Soriano happened and beat him up for 3 rounds. I just don't think Brahimaj is this super imposing guy to beat a Neil Magny with either like this insane wrestling or striking pedigree like a Prates, a Morales, an Amosov, a Gilbert Burns. You know, dudes who are actually good and can compete for belts. Jake Matthews, I mean, he's somewhere in that mix of almost doing it. But Neil Magny, I think, will just move forward. Weird, crafty striking. Will probably get his calves beat up for the whole fight because he doesn't defend calf kicks and his legs are skinny. I think he'll just take down Brahimaj a lot of time. That's kind of the game plan. I'm going to avoid the gilly, take him down. You'll be fine, just like Punelli Soriano did. You'll probably get stuck in one guillotine, and it looks like you almost get submitted. But I think Neil Magny will craft this one up and win by decision. Neil Magny looks like the kind of fucking guys they pull off of Kensington. That picture, he looks so fucking dehydrated, and that he might have been on fucking fentanyl. But Neil Magny's winning this one by decision. And the only Philly boy, I believe, on this card is Jeremiah Wells. Not Mick the Orbai. He is not from Philadelphia. He's actually from Garnet Valley, PA. He's a Delconian. That's a Delconian Orbai. But Orbai is going to win this one. I don't even think Jeremiah Wells is that bad. Who did he beat last? Temba Garimbo in the Apex? Yeah, I do remember that one. He beat Temba Garimbo in the Apex. Orbai will be a ranked guy one day. And again, he's not really great in the feet, but he does have power. His grappling is just so good. You know, Wells can get takedowns and can be a little bit crafty and gritty and out-grit people to win fights. Not going to happen against Orbai. Orbai will push a pace on you to get to the double legs, slow you down, just break you as the fight goes on, just spam takedowns if he has to. And again, he has the power in the feet, unlike a Bilal. I see people kind of drawing Bilal comparisons to him just in kind of how they fight, I think Orobai is significantly more dangerous than a Bilal. And kind of crazy, this guy was taking like bullshit Rebecca fights at 155 just for the fucking shit of it, for the fun of it. He's winning this one by decision or submission. Everybody in here is picking him by... It's Jeremiah Wells. We'll go Orobai by round 2. Submission. Those are my predictions for UFC Fight Night. Islam Makhachev versus Ian Garry. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Again, an interesting card with a lot of fun scraps, but I'm excited for the main event to say the least, and some of the other fights should be pretty fun. Again, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. The doctor is signing off.